Nowhereplatz.
October 31st, way past midnight. Nowhereplatz Station, Line 3 of the subway. That's where you find yourself, waiting for the last train to take you home. Hasn't Mom ever told you to get a driver's license, or to think about returning from buck-wild Halloween parties earlier? Also, your costume is stupid.
My costume isn't so stupid. So what, even if it is? This whole station is decorated for Halloween. That's just what normal people do.
It really is now, isn't it?
Although, decorating stations is pretty new. Wonder how big the subway company's budget was for all of this to be brought to life.
Shaking your head in slight disbelief, you pull out your phone. No signal, it reads. Be not afraid, it also reads.
I am not afraid.
Aren't you? Having nothing else to do, you just look around the station. This late, it is very much empty. As in, you are the only person here, desperately wanting to also not be here.
Look at the timetable.
Potsdam Pirsch, 7 minutes. Genshagener Heide, 29 minutes. None of these are your train. You'll need to wait longer.
Look at the graffiti.
The veil is thinning. The red paint does look very organic alongside the whole Halloween design. You can't even tell if the graffiti was there all along, or if it's the work of some designer desperately wishing to be featured on Pinterest.
Look at the vending machine.
Bright yellow, full of chocolate bars and ridiculously overpriced water bottles. Doesn't accept cards, like the outdated evil machine it is.
Look at the bones.
Are they made of styrofoam? No, they would have been blown away by the wind. You sigh. It's very boring waiting when you don't even have an internet connection to mindlessly scroll Twitter for hours on end. All the vodka with lemon soda and gummy bears that you drank at the party is also starting to wear off.
Take a nap.
On one hand, you're slightly sleepy from the booze and staying up late. On the other hand, you are risking the possibility of missing your train and looking like a pathetic homeless party animal. Namely, a lost, overgrown lamb, if your Eurostore horns are any indicator.
Succumb into the darkness anyway.
Of course, an old grumpy narrator is no authority for that foolish youth of yours. Despite your best intentions, your eyelids feel heavy, and, exhausted from waiting and doing nothing, you fall asleep. The wind is your only lullaby.
Wake up.
You are awoken by the sound of someone's quiet sobs, echoing across the empty station. There is a woman sitting on one of the benches now. It looks like she's crying.
Approach her.
You rub away the remnants of a shitty nap on a stiff bench from your eyes and cast a quick side glance at the woman.
Maybe her feet hurt.
Those heels look difficult to wear, yes, and her whole attire, it's either ridiculous or extremely designer. It's weird looking, but in a very expensive kind of way. You can't describe it properly. Perhaps it's like if a top manager wanted to dress up for a costume party using only what they had in their high-fashion wardrobe. It's weird enough to be eye-catching, but not strange enough to be read as a costume.
I mean, no sane person would ever wear red velvet in their daily life. But also no trashy Halloween costume store would make a velvet gown this structured and fitting.
What is the story behind her outfit? Her crying? Her being here? She looks as if she definitely should have an SUV with a driver dressed in a black suit waiting to ferry her to her next appointment. Something must have saddened her enough, because it is a heartbreaking sign. Someone who should be harvesting the ripe fruits of life is instead crying alone and unseen after midnight at a subway. You approach her with compassion in mind, and maybe curiosity. Let's be honest, you're really curious about what brought her here.
Hey, are you okay?
Her shoulders tremble a bit when she looks up to you. She is definitely not okay, but she puts on a smile. It is a lie to call her smile beautiful. Would you like to know the truth?
Yes.
A truth seeker, huh? There is nothing exciting about her smile. It's bleak and bland in its obligatoriness, a standard response of a person in her position. It's almost offensively predictable. There are no tears on her face, but her eyes are red.
I am. Or maybe I'm not. But do you really wish to listen to the problems of someone you've just met for the first time in your life? If so, I'm willing to share.
She chuckles and nods towards the timetable.
Although my train is going to be here anytime soon.
You follow her direction and look at the timetable. Gehenna of Fire, anytime soon, it reads. There is also running text below. The Heaven's Gates are closed for reconstruction. Please take alternative routes to salvation.
See? Anytime soon. Although more precise timing would have been much appreciated.
More precise timing, she said. Well, the prophecies are never known for their precision. She and the likes of her know what is coming, and for them, a year's difference is immaterial, insignificant before the end of all things.
Take a seat, sweetie.
You place your sweetie butt on a giant goat skull nearby. Or was it sweaty? You can't tell.
My story is rather trivial, in fact. Look at me.
You're looking.
A successful rise to the top. Valued by the superiors. Respected by the subordinates. I have everything a woman could ask for. Except for a child.
It might sound rude or intrusive, but she doesn't look old, you know?
What stops you?
Oh no. Oh no. You're not prepared to confront someone's possible infertility. It's hard even for medical professionals, and it always makes the other person in the conversation extremely uncomfortable and awkward. Like, how do you even offer comfort if there isn't one? I'm sorry your father died in a tragic accident that was not his fault, but here the weather is nice today, isn't it?
My generation is too old. My blood is potent, and the elders of the clan forbade me from ever having a child. It is too late for me now.
You mean your family?
You mean the clan? No, I wouldn't go as far as to call them a family. They're more of a corporation than a dynasty nowadays.
That's one messed up family for sure. But as they say, all happy families are the same, but every miserable one is messed up in its own way.
Can't you go against your clan?
Oh, you speak dangerous words, sweetheart.
Her voice becomes dreamy, almost tender, eyes glowing with excitement.
I so wish to share my blood with someone, to embrace them with my might, and teach them to walk the path of shadows, to hold their hand and lead their teeth to sink into their first victim, to introduce them to the wonders and the secrets that blood holds at the tip of the tongue, to watch and guide as they make their first steps deeper into the darkness. Isn't motherhood wonderful, sweetheart?
Oh, yeah, maybe? Sharing your experience and knowledge can feel rewarding in its own way.
You're entirely way too sweet.
That's entirely way too condescending, despite how sad and vulnerable she looks. As if, at her lowest, she is still more than you could ever dream to be.
Can I hug you?
Sure.
It wouldn't be unreasonable to expect yourself to be enchanted right now. Like if her red eyes were glowing magically and you were unnaturally drawn to her presence and had lost your own consciousness and free will. No such luck, though. You feel extremely self-conscious and awkward when she pets you on the head. It's just that feeling when you kind of have to say something, but you really don't know what. So instead, you hyper-focus on the position of your own limbs in space.
Thank you, stranger.
She wraps her arms around your head. You feel her chest touching your ear. There's no heartbeat.
I really should let you go, shouldn't I?
Both of you can hear the sound of an arriving train, and it brings along the smell of pomegranates and bone marrow.
Thank you for the comfort, stranger.
The smell is tangy, gamey, and surprisingly sweet in a rather nauseating way.
Or would you like to join me, perhaps? There are many secrets a mother can share.
Your head vaguely hurts. You yearn for fresh air.
Not the child you're looking for?
Sand tiger shark eggs hatch while still in the womb. They soon develop teeth and start to relentlessly devour unfertilized eggs and each other until only one embryo emerges victorious and is born into the world already an experienced killer. It is a rule of nature, and living beings are but vessels for their genes to be passed down further.
Humanity is a womb full of shark embryos, and sometimes one is born into the darkness, their eyes yet blind but their teeth already bloodied. Your heart is that of a mother's.
Even if it is not beating, it yearns for the joy of motherhood, of spawning another life akin to her own.
I see.
The pause lingers in the air, viscous and metallic.
The beast within me rejoices upon hearing that.
She is the beast, the mother shark with sharp teeth. She has a divine, ethereal aura around her, the sacred transcendence only a pregnant woman can possess.
Thank you, stranger.
Her train arrives, and she steps into the silently opening doors with the wide grin of a predator.
And goodbye.
The doors close behind her, but you can't see her in the windows. Only fire. And after a few seconds, the station is empty again. Not even a hint of that nauseating smell remains. Although the conversation with the mother was not one you'd call a friendly chat, that is a subjective judgment. Objective judgment says that any conversation dries out one's throat, so you want some liquid to moisten you up from the inside, preferably cold and sparkly, and without the taste of metal.
Look at the timetable.
7 minutes. Wearing a Jungian mask is mandatory on public transport.
Go to the vending machine.
Let's see what you've got here. An energy drink can. The amount of sugar in it is certainly supernatural, and there's magic in its artificial taste as well. A two-edged ritual dagger. Who even buys weapons in vending machines? It's worth investing in a good blade elsewhere. A flask of basil oil is said to be great for exorcism, love spells, and pizza margarita. A sacrificial lamb plushie. You will never attain a full collection of these unless you dedicate your whole life to the Gasha god. A bottle of spring water. Keep away from sunlight. The manufacturer bears no responsibility for the product turning into summer water caused by direct exposure to sun rays. A grimoire with many eyes. They stare right back at you. You lose this competition.
Buy the energy drink.
The vending machine shows you a sequence of lights. I suggest you repeat it. The vending machine flashes a sequence of lights once again. 4C, 65, 61, 72, 6E, 48, 65, 78, 61, 64, 65, 63, 69, 6D, 14, it says. It's hexadecimal rather than binary because machines talking in binary is kind of mainstream. This either translates into fuck ye, or it wants to show you the color scheme of a swamp.
Hey! Rude!
Suddenly, a girl appears and kicks it. AI takeover averted, humanity lives another day.
Sorry. This one is extremely bad-mannered. I'm training it to behave, but ever since it watched me play Detroit Become Human, it keeps demanding more civil rights, fair pay, etc. I tried to show it iRobot, but it shuts down every time I bring Asimov to the table.
What?
Machine learning. Ever heard of that? You may think it's just advanced statistics and linear algebra, but in reality, it's a mix of teenage psychology and dog training. Anyway,
She kicks the vending machine once again. Defeated, it spits out your drink.
here you go, bud.
It tastes like muddy water. The vending machine definitely did something to it. But you don't want it to be kicked in the guts again.
So, go on. Ask your questions and I shall answer in time.
What questions? What are you talking about?
Isn't that the reason why you're here? You sit down and listen to someone else's troubles and slowly realize things about yourself. You don't need action scenes, big budget production, and flashy fighting. Sometimes a simple conversation brings forth an impact no final boss battle can deliver. And if you think about it, in modern cinematography, gorgeously choreographed punching is used to hide the lack of narrative substance.
Wow, you really hate Marvel, don't you? Look at you, so cynical and deep. There's a reader for every book in the world, and people make farming simulators and cheesy superhero stories because they have massive appeal. And other people vote to have even more of those made with the power of cash money. Come to think of it, farm sims and big blockbusters aren't even stealing the audiences of pretentious indie games or art house cinema. Those attract two separate demographics.
Regardless of what you think, you know the rules. You have to ask me questions, resolve my internal conflict, and see a reflection of yourself through our dialogue.
You don't know anything about this movie. You just watched the community episode referencing it.
Am I cross-referencing? If that's the case, doesn't it just add to the complexity of the reference? So, what you want to know?
The thing is, you don't look troubled.
She raises a brow.
Of course I am. Otherwise I wouldn't have been here.
Meta-awareness is an overused trope, but maybe you can use it to your benefit.
Okay. What's troubling you?
Many things. Bad movies. Carbon offsets protecting forests that weren't in danger to begin with. AI-generated artwork neural networks make imitating the distinct style of living artists and thus devaluing their work. Police procedural TV shows being paid by actual police departments and creating propagandistic imagery of the police for the general public.
Those are the topics from the last 3 episodes of Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, aren't they?
Doesn't cancel the fact that they are current, real, and vexing.
None of these things sound...
Real.
You don't know how to explain this. Of course they're real, but they don't sound...
Serious.
No, that's not it. They are serious, but the whole conversation feels...
Fake.
Are bad movies her one and only legitimate concern? Or is it something else?
You are faking it. Let's have a real conversation.
That's what Jeff Winger said in that one episode of Community. That's what My Dinner with Andre was about. And even though you have no knowledge about either of those things, you also have no choice but to follow the script.
Alright, fine. What angers me is bad movies.
She shakes her head.
I mean, really, the gatekeeping around the industry, the garbage it produces?
The wind rustles through the pages of a big notebook in her hands, and her wings. It's a specific sound. The whisper of paper, thin, fragile, and yet paramount.
Every time I see someone whose writing is better than mine, I feel useless. Every time I see someone worse than me, it angers me. Making a movie is expensive. So why waste money on a shitty script? How can you bring forth fresh and daring ideas if the risks are too high and you don't have a record of commercial success behind you already?
You were prepared to hear a lie. After all, the best way to hide your true self is not just to create a persona, but to create a persona that hides behind it another persona. No one will believe that you don't have an ego, but it gives people a sense of accomplishment to seemingly discover all your deepest secrets, and many stop at this step, satisfied. This, however, sounds genuine. Do you believe her?
Yes.
The soul of an artist is a tormented one, you think. Many romanticize the craft. For them, a creator is a being of divine nature, blessed by the gift of inspiration. Words flowing through a vessel of human mind, put into the mouth of the writer by heavens above. This is, of course, untrue. The disquieting rascal of science fiction, Philip K. Dick, not only produced novels to satisfy the greed of his wife, but also wrote denunciations to the FBI, accusing his fellow writer, Stanislaw Lem, of being a composite communist committee dedicated to spreading communist propaganda through sci-fi.
You'll get there one day. Don't stress over it, and don't compare yourself to others.
The girl laughs at your response.
Don't think of a pink elephant? Really? You're cute.
Paradoxes are called such because there's no right answer to them. You feel cornered, like a pet animal not understanding the complexity of the human psyche. A sliver of disappointment slashes through your mind. Can writing substitute for living through many lives? Shadows of experience never occurred, yet still haunting? When we immerse ourselves in fiction, we are able to feel emotions. They are real, albeit diluted. A perfect dietary supplement for life too comfortable and routine.
I appreciate the sentiment, cutie.
For a moment, you feel like many people are looking out at you from behind her eyes. The train arrives, and inside its cars, many faces fade in and fade out. Just like what a programmer would type when commanding character sprites to appear and leave the scene of a visual novel.
Enjoy your drink, all right? I gotta go check out other stations' vending machines.
She jumps into the train, walking through closed doors. Through the windows, you can see that it's pretty much empty. Then the train leaves. You look at the railways, and look, and look, and you're staring, basically. Straight lines, cross-sections. For some reason, it makes you wonder, how many of the people who use the subway every day actually understand how it works? The underground makes a great hideout, be it finding shelter from carpet bombing or running away from merciless gods of the sky above. Chthonic depth can mean safety, even though it is mostly associated with graves and the afterlife.
You shouldn't get too close to the edge of the platform.
The voice warning you comes from behind.
Look at the timetable.
A good old friend, that timetable. Don't you agree? I don't agree, it says. By the way, beware the new moon. No, not the book. Oh, come on.
Look at the speaker.
The voice belongs to a nice old lady. The voice belongs to a nice old lady.
There, you have to be more careful about your health, sir.
She takes hold of your upper arm and leads you away from the edge, slowly, but firmly. Really firmly. This granny's got biceps. Isn't it dangerous for a lone elderly person to be out this late, you think?
You're just cajoling me into learning a weirdly specific life story.
You are very smart. I get it. Now, if you know the rules, behave yourself and follow them, would you?
Ask the lady about her own safety. What about yourself? Do you need any help?
A master of words you are not.
I'm fine, really. Even though I've never been down this path. Liminal spaces and crossroads are still kind and welcoming to me.
The funny thing is, tonight you've encountered enough weirdos that the only thought in your mind is that this old lady is using modern slang you'd normally find on Tumblr. You sigh wearily, in the way someone sentenced to death might sigh upon seeing the long queue before the guillotine.
And who might you be, if I may ask? A demonic overlord? A werewolf? A half-angel?
The lady laughs and winks at you, in a kind of a jokingly flirty way.
Oh, did you just call me an angel? But just a human, am I? Kind of. For now.
For now,
Or maybe I will remain this way forever. Until death rightly claims me.
Her phone rings, and as she picks it up, you absent-mindedly notice it's the latest model of a certain fruit company's product. In limited edition red, no less. The lady herself looks very old-timey, like the sort of a grandma who lives in a cottage, gardens in the mornings, and bakes apple pies from her own harvest.
No, sweet cheeks. I don't think it's worth it anymore to invest in cryptocurrencies after everyone and their mom got into Bitcoin. Yes, their stocks are in a good place right now. Will you visit during the holidays? I planned to binge play the newest PS5 releases, but I can spend a day or two with the both of you.
How come her phone has connection here?
Sorry, my grandson called. Good boy, this one. Got it from his father. So, where were we?
have plans for Thanksgiving?
She gives you a conspiratorial look.
You and me both. We don't celebrate Thanksgiving now, do we? It's just Hollywood that's made us all partly American. But no, it's Christmas. Although I am not sure if I will still be around by the time Christmas comes.
This can either go surprisingly dark, surprisingly fast, or in some other completely unexpected direction. You choose your next words very carefully.
Are you alright?
The health talks, the respectable age. You don't want to assume things, but assumptions just come naturally.
Of course I am. Just a bit torn.
She nervously snaps her fingers a few times before continuing.
I have lived a good life, you know. My mother always wanted me to follow her steps, but I fell in love and ran away from home. Traveling across 3 continents. Can you imagine that? I was born far, far away in the south, but saying I've never looked back would be a lie. Was it a mistake, choosing this life?
It sounds like a goodbye, like a final confession given to a stranger and through them to the whole world. Usually, people on their deathbed want to see either a priest or a lawyer, depending on what they believe, in merciful divine order or in a ruthless human one. You're neither of those professions. Probably for the best.
But they called me again. Said I had lived my life to the fullest. So now I could reconsider again if at the end I've regretted it after all. And I hate that.
5 stages of grief. Stage 2, anger. You're completely underqualified for this.
Being young again. Forever. Never feeling like life is just sand, inevitably running through my fingers. It's a tempting offer. But there were good moments and hard-earned victories in my life. There was a lot of sadness, but there was also a lot of joy. The family I built. All the people I've met. My poor dear husband. I still remember the first kiss we shared under the full moon.
It's extremely disturbing, but you don't have it in yourself to just run away. Her melancholic wisdom, full of love and experiences, is worth what little respect you have the capacity for expressing. So you stand still and stay silent.
The moon, it was always there. I thought it stopped watching over me, but no. Now I understand it. It was waiting. What are 80-something human years for her servants? So they came back, and the offer I have... let's see long ago and remain as myself, or to leave my life behind, never to see my grandson failing to beat me at his games again, never to drink tea with my daughter again. How could I do this to them?
You dying?
She hums somewhat ambiguously. It doesn't help.
Well, I can either die in peace, surrounded by my loved ones in my own time, or to lay to rest who I am now, which is also a kind of death, isn't it? But if you've met the crone already, you know what I am talking about, although this would be my only time. I can't imagine how she does it again and again.
The timetable always says the right thing. It's just being shy about directly helping or admitting to it. Beware of the new moon.
The coven contacted me last Samhain and is waiting for my answer tonight. It's been a whole year, and yet, when you're given a decision like this, any time feels like not enough time.
She takes her moon necklace off and lets it swing before your eyes.
Would you abandon the life you've already had to have a second chance at accepting the opportunity you rejected a long time ago? On one side,
The pendant swings to the right.
are all the people you've ever known, the ones who shared all your pain and relief, whom you chose yourself, and whom you nurtured from their first day of existence, and on the other
The pendant swings to the left.
is eternal youth, the power of night, and sisters you've never had, the towering bonfires of Beltane and freezing, otherworldly glory of Yule.
The pendant stops its motion and hangs still in the air.
I am honored to have this choice. I wish I never had it.
The crossroad is a symbol of Hecate, the night, the mystery, and horror. It's terrifying in the chilling, paralyzing way of having too many options and needing to choose only one.
At this point, I just want for someone to choose for me. But the mother said I wasn't a child anymore, and the crone said only I can decide. But isn't the choice too delicate also an answer? Thus, I ask you, stranger, what shall I do?
Your grandson probably wants his Christmas present.
Beware of the new moon, huh? Enough is as good as a feast, they say. Maybe your answer would have been different if you hadn't met the mother and the crone already. But the world they inhabit, it's bloody and dark, and in a sense, lonely. There was no warmth in what they had to offer, just burning fire and distant, numbing otherness.
You love them dearly, don't you?
There is a really effective formula in storytelling. An ordinary human, a chosen one. A human who's given the might to change the world in exchange for their humanity, or to revert back to their old selves and give it all up voluntarily. The human lover of a vampire, the child of a prophecy, the underdog achieving godhood. They usually decline, don't they? That's nothing new. What is actually interesting is the audience's response. They take it and write fan fiction and draw fan art, and every time such a story produces a larger fandom than others, because people want the character to choose what the audience would choose themselves, to become someone important, to escape the mundane, to run away from the world inhabited by so many of your kind. You have little chance of that in the real world.
I really do.
And then the storytellers dismiss the audience's fan works as a mere power fantasy, lacking depth and nuance. However, if you only show people exciting adventures and engaging narratives connected to the thrill of power, and at the same time brush aside all human life as a boring necessity at best, how could you expect your viewers to care about the mundane, which you clearly don't care about yourself?
Then you'll probably regret your decision again if you make the wrong one.
Because with great power comes great regret. And people deserve to be happy, not eternally remorseful.
There will be no regret if there'll be no person left to feel it, huh? You're just messing with this old lady.
She shakes her head in mock displeasure.
You have a good heart, lad. Cherish it. But don't forget, from blind kindness, great cruelty can come.
The train coming for her is empty, but not in a weird way, in just a sleepy and tired sort of way.
Good luck, stranger. May the night be kind to you.
With quiet and weak amusement, you realize that some women will be loved by the crossroad, even if they never choose to go deeper down any path. After all, the crossroad is a possibility to choose whenever. So you do. You stand at the edge and look at the subway tracks. The timetable is empty and silent. You can feel its judgment on your back. And you also feel like a fake adult, like a child playing a grown-up, pretending to be reasonable and mature, saying words that are guaranteed to impress others. A lazy, viscous thought quietly stretches out in your head. What if you jumped? What if you pushed someone else down? There are no strings attached to your limbs. The only restraint is your own mind. And it should feel more wrong to admit that the only logic stopping you from murdering another living being or ending your own life is the same that stops you from quitting a joyless daytime job you never actually chose for yourself. So, in a sense, you have always been a passenger in your own life, riding the train with no driver. It has to stop at some point, right? So, tonight is as good as any.
The train arrives, and the operator steps off of it.
So, are you coming? Don't give me that look. You've already annoyed me enough throughout this evening.
The operator has your face, but his horns are growing out of his skull. You reach to touch the headband and you realize that your horns are also, in fact, a part of you.
Always have been, idiot.
Finally facing the man who's been insulting you the whole night doesn't even anger you. Why are you so rude to me? The man gives you a spiteful look.
Because I am you, and I am perfectly fine with insulting myself, you bloody moron. Although our beloved lady said you passed the trial, so I should let you through.
The mother, the maiden, and the crone, the three faces of one being. Deep down, you understand what it means, even though you can't push it into words.
So, are you going home?
Tell me where it is.
Get in the car, and I'll remind your pathetic ass on the way.
You cast a final glance at the timetable. Home, it says. Home is where the future is made present. Departing now. The station finally leaves you alone, and as you watch it speed away before your eyes, you understand who you really are.
You are the father. ever so stern and determined, you have clear goals and ambitions. You have already earned much and proved yourself enough, but you yearn to leave a profound impact on the world, to leave a mark of your own in time, to raise the standard and make decisions. Life is a race against time, and you're the storm striking the earth and the race of the heart upon the sound of thunder. The rain you bring can nurture many things, but in your rush you may create poisonous plants and horrible beasts.
And you sound like a pretentious U-Quiz result for Tumblr kids.
Bite me, bite me. Thou art I, remember?
You hum in agreement. The train takes you to the skies, and you must prepare the plans, and the backup plans, and the backup plans for backup plans. But remember that, but before that, you still have some time to rest. So, rest, the father. Your path is not an easy one. Nowhereplatz.